Thank you so much, Jim. Give it up for Jim DeYoung. Thank you so much. I'm going to put this here. Jim, they didn't tell you how short the mayor was, did they? How's everyone doing? Welcome to the Mile High City. Let me once again thank Jim DeYoung and John Woodach, Sally Conway, and what about Ed Newberg? How about that? Convincing you all to come here for the second time in 4 years. Ed, who would have known you're an economic development driver? Listen, there are two things I want to say at the onset. First of all, I want to apologize. You all chose a real interesting time to come to Denver. I know you saw the Comic-Con, folks. That is not our police department. Contrary to what you may have heard, it's not the police department, and nor is it our Convention and Visitors Bureau. It is a unique time in the life of Denver where we seem to attract some of the most unique people in the world here. It is fun to watch around and see grown people in their super suit costumes, whatever those things are. The second thing that I want you to know, I always get these reports about conferences that I get to come and address, and there's always a commonality that I get to ask them. Now, I understand there are over 700 of you who are here from 49 different states. Whatever happened to that one state, we won't. They're probably over at the Comic-Con conference. But here's the common request that we ask, and that is, while you're here, and I would be remiss as the mayor of the city if I didn't ask you to do this, while you're in our city, spend as much money as you can. I'm serious, this is serious business for us now. We're glad you all came to visit, but if you don't spend money, this is a big deal for us. Let me tell you that Denver is very, very proud to host the National ADA Symposium for the second time in 4 years. We here in Denver understand what inclusivity is all about. And as mayor, I preach literally every day that diversity and inclusion is for everyone. In fact, we like to say here, we are a world-class city where everyone matters. And inclusivity and diversity is not a program here in Denver. It's a value. And that's why we're so honored to host you here to talk about the critical issues that are facing persons with disabilities in our community and all over this nation. We see this opportunity for all as a value of our daily walking here in Denver. And you should see it on our sidewalks as part of our values, our cafes, our transits, our arenas, our schools, our arts, and our sports programs. You know, we have a rich history of disability and civil rights right here in Denver. It's something I didn't know as we were preparing for your welcome here. That here in 1979, when I was just a mere 9 years old, our residents known as the Gang of 19. Anybody ever heard of this? You've heard of it, Ed? I know Ed, I know you know about it. Listen, this Gang of 19 took the issue of the lack of access to public transportation to the intersection, probably the busiest intersection in Denver, Broadway and Colfax, and gave birth to the disability rights movement here nationwide, right here in Denver, Colorado. How's that, huh? I didn't even know about that. 2 years ago, I was honored to recognize one of the last living members of the Gang of 19 at the annual Mayor's Diversity Awards. The ADA law in this nation was signed some 11 years later in July of 1990 and has become an integral part of the lives of all Americans all over this country. We take to heart that while no person or place is perfect, there are mechanisms in place to ensure equality and opportunity for all, as well as we continue to implement ADA principles in all aspects of our communities. And while we have made progress, we all know that we have a long way to go and a lot of work to do. That is why a gathering this type is so important here in Denver. We must continue to focus on access, civil rights, and implementation of ADA. And we must look at and learn from what has already been done, how we've done it and how we can do it better. We know that we still have a lot of work to do to address continued needs of those to individuals with disabilities. The richness of our communities is our diversity, not just our diversity of ability, but race and ethnicity as well, age and religion. The wonder and the power of this convening here this week brings us together from different professions, experiences, and viewpoints to learn from one another, rather than convening a congregation of one belief. It is estimated that 20%, 1/5 of our population have a disability of some form. Disability affects every ethnic group, age, income level, viewpoints, and belief. And that is why all perspectives are required to create the change we desire and the change we need. I understand that this is the conference, the main conference of the ADA. The National ADA Network demonstrates such a wise investment of federal funds to educate, to enlighten, to integrate, and assist businesses and communities in the implementation of the ADA that results in the opportunity and inclusion of people with disabilities. I understand that people attending this conference are responsible for and empowered to implement and enforce ADA and civil rights. This is the biggest symposium ever. The biggest ever. So thank you all for being here. I want you to know, my friends, that we recognize here in Denver and as an elected official how important you are to making sure that we're inclusive of everyone and that we make sure that we do the things necessary that folks feel welcome in our city and our communities all over Denver. You help us to understand that. Ed and his team help us to understand that. And so we thank you for being our partner. What you are doing is nothing short of heroic. And I know the road has not been easy. Certainly it's been hard. And there have been many defining moments along the way. You know and I know there will be more times that we'll be tested. And it will continue to test us. But because of your efforts, we'll all continue to press forward. Some tests will come from outside our disability community and some will come from inside. But I hope and pray that it's all to make us better. As the tests emerge, we must continue to find ourselves like those who came before us, like the gang of 19. And we must commit to never give up, to keep our eye on the greater good, ensure that every individual continues to have the same rights of access and accommodation. Again, the city of Denver, the Mile High City, is proud to have you here. We want your stay here to be hospitable. We dialed up great weather for you. But if you have ideas on how we can do better in making sure that this is a city that accommodates everyone of all walks of life, all capacities, please share your thoughts with Ed and Derek, who is here from our Office of Human Rights and Community Partnerships. We would love to hear your thoughts. But more importantly, enjoy Denver. And even more important than that, spend as much money as you can. God bless you all. Thank you.